Hi everyone, it's Jen again. This past week was a pretty good week as far as game development went. I'm feeling fairly confident that I'll be able to release the first 3 chapters of Allele probably by next weekend. But I never like to make promises because you just don't know what life is going to throw at you. So we'll see. That's my current goal. I thought this weekend I would do something a little bit different because I have been wanting to try my friend's game again for a while now. And yeah, I thought this would be a good opportunity to jump back into it. So this is a game that was made in Twine. It's very story heavy, more of an interactive fiction with some light kind of tabletop style combat in it. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in and save often because I have a feeling that I'm probably going to die. As it says here in the explanation. So click here for background explanations, can also be found in the codec. Click here for combat explanations. Click here for crafting and item usage explanations. Click here for stat explanations. Symbol keys. I remember hearing about this. Indicates romantic or carnal interest. If you are pursuing a particular character, you need not click on all these to show interest. In fact, it's recommended that you don't. All characters have their own preferences. Briefly showing the incorrect attention will not endear you to them. Some will even react poorly. This indicates an upcoming safe area where you can heal or craft simple items. Warning for an upcoming battle. This indicates a cycling choice. This indicates a drop-down message. Click to see the contents and click away if you're done with it. Indicates a link permanently expand the text. Proceed investigating the surroundings or people during investigation. It's important to search for clues outside investigations. It's merely optional text that the player can safely skip without consequence. Text in this color dark mode or text in this color light mode highlights selectable text in the game. All links will also faintly glow when hovered over. There are some semi-hidden links that will activate if you hover your mouse over it. They will not be pleasant. To make it clearer, these special links will be in bold, such as this, for example. It's the example pit, you should keep your distance. Okay, return to story. Low character cannot use magic but has immunity against mind-altering magic. Immune to haunted terrain, cannot learn Bane's skill. Average can use some basic magic, but only if willing spirit is in the vicinity to assist after being petitioned. No weakness or resistance to magic. Low damage from haunted terrain. High has a broader range of magic, can talk to any nearby spirits into assisting without offerings, or have a permanent familiar with a limited set of skills. Weak to arcana influences. High damage from haunted terrain, can learn the most potent version of Bane's skill. Interesting. Will pass for intimidation checks and fail for charm checks. Will identify and resist enemy intimidation tactics. Cannot learn 4D's skill. Will pass intimidation. Average will pass intimidation or charm checks. Cannot identify or resist enemy intimidation or charm tactics. Will pass for charm checks and fail for intimidation checks. Will identify and resist enemy charm tactics. Can learn the most potent version of 4D skill. So it's interesting how having low and high of any of these stats has kind of a double-edged sword where you have both an advantage and a disadvantage to having it low, and an advantage and disadvantage to having it being high. Combat cannot learn Magwin's skill, so you get higher dice. Seems like combat doesn't have any downside to increasing it. Will fail criminal activities. Locked out from criminal route and submissions, but lawful options remain open. Cannot learn Kalka's skill. 50% success rate for illegal activities, can proceed along the criminal and lawful route for some of their lesser benefits, but not reach the inner circle for greater benefits. Will succeed in illegal activities, locked out of lawful route and submissions, but criminal options remain open. Can learn the most potent versions of Kalka's skill. Okay. You can die. In fact, there will be many opportunities to die. To assist in your continued longevity, an autosave will occur before a possible bad ending when following the main storyline. There will be no autosaves to help you during the side quest. Allies can die, even those who aren't companions. You are part of a hated and feared task force, and revealing this information is dangerous to you and everyone else you work with. You cannot backtrack the passages to change your choices, so save often. You are given free reign to do your given mission by any means necessary. Whether you choose to take a soft or hard approach is up to you, but soft doesn't necessarily mean good, nor harsh mean bad. If you fail a mission too many times, you will be discharged. Since you work for a secret service, being discharged is very bad for you. Affection tracks how well an ally likes you. The more affection, the nicer they will be towards you, and they will be more inclined to be more helpful beyond what's necessary. The maximum anyone can like you is 100 points, and the range of affection is as follows. You are heavily disliked, loathed even. Can they stab you? They would very much like to stab you. You are not liked. They can be civil, and they will be they don't want to interact with you or generally be around you. It's absolutely a you thing. They may not like you, but they harbor no ill thoughts about you. You're just kind of there. You are not the best person in the world, but they enjoy your company nonetheless. A solid choice to spend social time with. You are the best person, and they adore you so much. Would you like them to commit atrocities for you? Because they would. This is not necessarily a good level of affection to reach for some characters. Trust tracks how willing they are to go along with your plans, despite them going against what an ally may want. With low trust, an ally may go against your orders, take care of it their own way. There may be consequences beyond the obvious for this. The maximum anyone can trust you is 100 points, and the ranges of trust are as follows. So, similar to the range of affection. Loving or lustful relationships cannot be built until Chapter 2. Each character has a preference and different requirements for successfully pursue them. For example, Magwyn will require higher love and or lust points with a man or a male-bodied person in comparison to a woman or female-bodied person. Just because you have entered a carnal relationship with a character does not mean a loving relationship is unavailable. Some, like Freudy, require high lust before love can be built. Others prefer love to be built first. Lust cannot be built with a low level of trust, and love requires high affection in order to build upon. If you do not meet requirements to successfully flirt or build love or lust, the characters will let you know they do not like it. If you continue to flirt and still not meet requirements, they will eventually retaliate. Alright, I think I've gotten through most of the tutorial. I don't really know about combat and stuff, so we're just gonna hope to win that. Your feet protest with every weary step as you amble back to your ramshackle shanty house after a long day. It's little more than a few planks and a roof. Honestly, you're always astounded that it remains upright after a brisk wind. Still, as rickety as it seems, it is reliable, which is more than what could be said for most people in the slums. You have a shelter and only have to share a single room with 6 other people, some places housed up to 11 in an even smaller space. Truly a palace, some would say. Not you, though. Slightly cramped and stifling. Cramped is still cramped. The wind is harsh this evening, biting into your bones through your clothes. So I can examine that. The wind is harsh this evening, biting into your bones through your clothes, and you reach up with a gloved hand to hold your hood in place. It felt as if winter arrived early this year, and it was brutally cold early on. When the wind settled, you returned your hands under your armpits and trundled along, each step taken with purposeful care to tread in snowdrifts, seeking a little bit of a grip on the ground in order to avoid the black ice. Your breath fogs in the air, pale against the void of the night sky. The icicles hanging from the arches and eaves seem to glisten under the freshly lit street lamps, barely holding the gloom at bay. From the corner of your eye, you catch the sight of a group of beggars near a canal, feverishly tying together what sparse rags they can find in order to catch a small school of fish that traverse the water system that spreads across the city. Your nose wrinkles in distress. Only last week you saw someone urinating that very canal. As bad things can be for you, you haven't sunk to that level. Life has taught you to be practical, to cast off the social construction of morals and free you from the boundaries that others fear to cross. You've also got the skills to avoid the particular harshness of reality. With both skills and ambition is not just survive, but to thrive. You have made a semi-comfortable life for yourself, and you expect that it will get better if things continue this way. 1 year, maybe 2 if you're lucky, and then you'll have enough money to get out of the slums. It was hard work, but you prevailed as you knew you would. You just need a little extra to take the final steps. Unlike most of the slums, you have a job. Sure, it involves you either beating someone senseless or being beaten yourself, but it pays well enough to cover food and other necessities and still leaves a little bit to set aside. You don't beg for coins, no. The popularity of the underground fighting rings would never let you stoop to that level. You can proudly say that you have earned your pay and that each osk is the result from a hard-won victory. Sometimes a noble will join the crowd and join in the gambling, and there are profitable nights as they will pay you to seriously harm, maybe kill your opponent, while others may demand you throw a fight. The other gamblers would be livid if they learnt that you've accepted these offers, but since they are not the ones that depend on the money, you don't care much about their opinion. If it wasn't for you accepting the offers, then it would be someone else, and someone else is going to profit from these deals, and it's going to be you. Very pragmatic of me. Today has not been a good day in regards to making money. Do I click on this? Ooh, it's changing. I should have been reading that. Burglary, pickpocketing, theft in all its wonderful forms. What haven't you done? Frankly, if the marks are stupid enough to give you an opening, then you're going to take it. Okay, so maybe you aren't some legendary thief pretending to be poor while hiding a vast fortune, but you're good enough to survive and ply your trade outside the cabal and not get caught. Alright, so maybe you've gotten caught once or twice, definitely not more than that, but you've always found a way to escape and get right back to doing your best. If anything ever turns out for the worse, well then you'll show them just how quick you can be to put a stop to whatever unwanted attention turns your way, either to escape, with the goods of course, or with your trusty knife in their neck. Okay, now it's fine repeating. Today has not been a good day in regards to money. Thankfully, this is a rare occurrence, so you weren't too disappointed by it, but it still stung at your pride. Each bad day felt like it extended your sentence here by years, despite your rational mind knowing this not to be true. You've been saving so diligently, squirreling away your food to hide from your housemates, hoarding each and every resource you come across, never sharing, never mentioning them. The reality is that a bad day every once in a while isn't really going to affect your expected time scale by much. Your steps are lighter, easier with that thought in mind. I have a very good attitude for living in the slums and being like a petty criminal. You stand outside your house, back straight, one of the thousands of humans on Wyldren. You have somewhat easier life than some. You can fit inside buildings for a start. You instinctively stoop low as you approach the doorway. Most buildings in Wyldren are not made to fit the needs of the Jotun races, not even the smallest of them. The Gigants. You may have it better than most other Jotun, such as the trolls who have to sleep outside, but you still occasionally curse your ancestors for settling here. It really doesn't do your back any favors. You hear shuffling inside, raised voices. Your brow furrows. Of course they'd be fighting. They do most nights. You just have to endure it a little bit longer. You can do it. You enter. The first thing you do when you walk in, as you always do, is check your surroundings. That sounds like a smart plan. Dirty, warped wooden walls with gaps between the planks provide minor protection from the weather. The floor is scuffed and patches of mud stain in the entranceway where you scrape your shoes clean. Almost the entirety of the space is taken by the mats and blankets you sleep on and neglected to roll away. Your corner is invaded by others. Why? Why would they be there of all places? A cold weight settles in your stomach. They couldn't have found your stashes, could you? You were so careful, only moving the rotten floorboards when the others were asleep, pressing each few precious items you owned around the edges of the space and under a layer of earth so fearful they could be seen through the cracks, yet some of these vultures still found them. One of them looks up to your face as soon as they hear the door squeak on its hinges. An unknown face, hideously scarred, is partially hidden by an old, deep-hooded cloak of grayish green. A long, jagged line stretches from his forehead to over his eye socket to his left jaw. The single gray eye on the right side of his face peers at you shrewdly. His lips stretch to reveal a curious smile, cheeks bunched up to form a deep crevices around his eyes before he schools his expression into a scowl. His grayish, swarthy skin reveals him to be a Savartal, or a half-breed. Hey, this, the guy that was holding out on you? Oh, so I can determine my gender here. At his words, they all follow his gaze onto you. Their hatred, their sheer vitriol they hold towards you is potent, made all the more jarring from the contrast of his gleeful expression, which slips into view once more. Their jaws clench as their hands delve into their pockets with ominous linger. You see the makeshift weapon they've kept there before. Your feet shift, ready to retreat, the weight of the knife upon your sleeve is a small comfort. One makes his way forward, screaming and kicking the others out of the way. Rollo. Of course it's effin' Rollo, that big mouth doo-doo head that never learned how to mind his own business, always stealing food, clothes, money, anything he could get his grubby hands on from others. Spirits, the amount of times you've lain awake debating on sticking your blade in his neck. You've got a lot of effing nerve hiding this from us. Well, I don't want your doo-doo hands on it. Rollo practically spits out his words, the froth collecting from his lips. You notice a shiv tightly gripped in his hand. Instinctively, you flick your knife out of your sleeve and into your hand. The others come up beside him and attempt to calm him while you back towards the door and fumble the handle behind your back. Oh, this selfish little doo-doo's been holding out on you, and you won't even let the big man do the dirty work. Even after all you've shared with them, no wonder they thought they could get away with it. That he's purposely riling them up against you. You shoot him a glare, to which the Savartal responds with a doo-doo eating grin. Shut up. We don't need you butting in. Let him go. Like these nameless people. Any hope of finding a peaceful resolution is felled when she's held at knife point. The point pressing to her throat. Her eyes flick to you, to everyone around her, and then returns to your gaze. You spin around to escape, ready to break down the door if you have to, but one of the group has crept beside you and barricaded the door with their own body. You ignore what the Sartal is saying and lunge at the obstacle barring your freedom, plunging the blade deep into their flesh, their blood warmed on your hand. Get out of my way. Wouldn't it be more satisfying for you all to help? Take a piece of them. If they'd only shared a little piece, then you wouldn't have had to go without, surely. And it's not like they couldn't spare. Oh, they're getting away. You hear the commotion as you run. You feel something skim across your arm, cutting the fabric and nicking your skin. You know how to fight. You do it often. You're fitter than most everyone after you, but even so, you're just one person against many. While you're sure you could bring a few down with you, you'd much rather prefer to get out alive. You pump your legs as fast as they can go, and keep your eyes on your surrounding. Like it or not, it's better to live to fight another day. You find yourself in one of the upscale brothels along the mid-harbor. These establishments wouldn't want violence, and you know the bouncers would protect any paying customer from the outside threat, so it should be safe. Buying a drink should count, or so you hope. At the very least, you can be reassured that Rollo and the others wouldn't think to look for you in a place like this, although your tatty clothes do make you stand out rather drastically. You are stared at like an exotic animal by some and ignored by others, but no one comes to bother you. Let's look around. The ground floor is wide open space, separated by gossamer curtains of colorful cloth. The lounge where you are standing is full of plush sofas and chairs, heavy and intricately carved wooden tables, and people. So many people. Dancers, clients, mundane workers such as waitresses, as well as the more intimate employees. A sweet-voiced singer off in the corner, and a small band producing a pleasant, low-toned melodies. Men and women of all races lead their partners for the night up a flight of stairs, whereupon stained glass glimmers set in floral patterns within the polished black metal banister. At the back looks to be a drinking area, complete with a bar and some gambling tables. Several people are sitting around, and you see the pale flash of dice and the brilliance of gold skitter between thick masses of bodies. Fed up, you make your way to the bar at the very back and carefully sit in one of the stools. One of the scantily clad servers makes their way to you, holding silver trays of dainty fluted crystal glasses full of reds, whites, or rosés. You wave them away, knowing there are more expensive options given to those too drunk to care or too timid to argue. To be fair, it seems to be a tactic that works if the amount of drunken idiots is by any indication. The server respectfully nods their head and leaves, only for the barkeep to appear at your other side. Silently, they offer you a menu of what's available. You grimace as you look at the prices. Even the cheapest will take most of what you have on hand. Clicking your tongue in irritation, you pull out your osk. So hard to come by and so easily to spend. At least it's for a good cause. Your life is worth more than a mere 10 osk after all. You listen to the low murmur of the crowd and the gentle notes of the band as you watch your drink being poured. The bartender gives a brisk nod and smiles before moving along to serve someone else once the glass is safely in your grasp. Sitting out of the way of the corner of the bar, partially obscured by draped diaphanous cloth to separate the drinking area to the rest of the lounge, you sink your head into your hands. It's all gone. All you worked for. Those doo-doo heads! All the hours and days, years you put into improving your life someday. Just gone, as if they haven't happened at all. Why is this hitting me so hard? It's like when my HVAC went out. I'm relating to this story too hard. Clenching your eyes tight, you raise your head and let your hands drop to the counter. Your fingernails drum against the fluid glass. You struggle to control yourself. Deep breath in and out, in and out. A few more times and you're back in control. You stare at your reflection within the amber liquid as you contemplate your next move. We shall go for a feminine portrait. Let's just be right in the middle. We're gonna go right in the middle with F2, I think, right? Oh wait, I have to do it here. Got it. You owe me money. It's your fault. You startle before he even finished speaking, tumbling off the stool, drawing attention to you both. You go to reach your weapon, but think better of it. The Sephardo-blooded man isn't threatening you, and judging by the looks of the bouncers are giving him, the madame and her entourage would be all too happy to kick him out if you protested him being here. Come to think of it, how did he know to find you here? Got rid of the idea to stick me with your little knife? Good, let's talk. I'm Gog, by the way. I've had my eye on you for a while. You're stupid eye. Why couldn't you just leave me alone and just try and save some money? He turns to face you and blinks his single eye. Maybe it's supposed to be a wink. His toothy grin seems to freeze on his face for an uncomfortable moment before he goes back to his drink that you only now have noticed. He swishes the liquid around the cylinder glass and peers thoughtfully into the depths. There's something odd about how he holds the glass with his right hand, how he holds it tightly by the fingers, and how half of his thumb has been severed. Oh, that explains that. Now, I don't mean it in a sinister way, so don't give me that look. Anyway, I wasn't expecting you to hide away in here. Really, I'm impressed that you were able to string any ideas together after that, let alone a useful one. You could be incredible with the correct training. I mean, I was pretty smart, but just because you're buttering me up doesn't mean that I'm going to forget that you turned my stupid roommates against me. You swallow the lump caught in your throat, carefully sit back on the stool. You don't want to bring any more unnecessary attention to yourself. You sip at the outrageously overpriced drink that cost you almost all you had in your pocket. It's bitter. Whether that's intended taste or your own mood influencing your perception, you cannot say. Gog reaches out a large hand and reaches out to pat your shoulder. His hand stops in the air before it reaches halfway and retracts back to rest on the counter next to the other. I won't stare at his grubby hands. A gentle cough breaks you from your trance. He's staring at you with a sad smile before his gaze drifts. Risk of my former trade, I'm afraid to say, but it means that I can be completely honest about what I have to offer you. I know you want out of your current life, and who wouldn't? Everyone dreams to escape the slums, but you were one of the few to actually try. That doesn't go unnoticed. You sigh and carefully place down your fluted glass. You aren't entirely sure whether you should consider his offer, which he still hasn't stated. If you refuse, he was able to find you. He could reveal your location to Rallo and the not-so-merry band of would-be murderers. You don't know this why do I keep stumbling on this? There's Svartal. So why should you trust him not to? Might you have to kill him? As battered as he is, he's still alive despite all those scars suggest he might actually be good at staying alive. Maybe better than you. Would you want to risk it? Should you? Not here in any case. The two of you already seem out of place with your ragged and dirty clothes surrounded by better dressed clientele and lavishly garbed workers. While you think you could talk your way out of trouble, you aren't so sure you want to try. All I'm hearing is a lot of words and nothing is being said. Get to the point. Oh yeah, I should save. Maybe that was rude, and maybe you could have say he deserved it after firing up your former housemates against you after they stole everything you owned and ended up forcing you from your only source of shelter. Semantics. He barks at a laugh, which causes several people in the nearby vicinity to sneer at you both. The bouncers start slowly shifting closer, but Grog simply gives them a toothsome smile and a chirpy wave. They shift back uncomfortably. One gives you an awkward wave in return and receives an elbow to the ribs of their colleague. Seeing this, Grog makes a sound almost like a giggle, an unexpectedly bubbly sound coming from a man of his size. I love uffing with people. Anyway, what would you think about a job? One that ensures you will never go hungry again. Never need to worry about being on the streets. Your brow shoot up incredulously. What a daft thing to ask. I'd say it's too good to be true. He gives you a long and hearty bellow of laughter before staring at his maimed hands. A ghost of a smile still lingers. He doesn't look regretful, sad, yes, but somehow content. Not how you expect someone to react when staring at their ruined remains of their own hands. And you'd be right. At least you know the difference between a pipe dream and a plausible reality. I'm not lying. There are cravats. A lot of them, in fact. You know the Kronger is generous to those who serve him well. All they need to do is dedicate their very lives to his service. Sure, his work is dangerous, but the worst case scenarios like mine are rare. His Blackthorns are well provided for. You perk up at the mention of Blackthorns in the eye of the Sarval with some degree of skepticism. The Blackthorns are a hidden force that serve Bollock Kroger, and he alone. They don't serve the law, they don't serve the city. Only one man who is known to have purged the former member of his own clan after they left him in order to join others. For his coronation, his first speech in the city was dour and totalitarian. During his first court session as Kronger, some philanthropist made a comment about how he needed to develop a conscience, which was met by a round of applause from other nobility who did not yet understand the nature of this new ruler. Within the very same 10 days, they and all their families had vanished, and all remaining were the words, "A conscience is only a tool that the weak use to shackle the strong," painted boldly across their estates. New loyal families took the new vicinities, closing ranks around their new patron to become a veritable phalanx of sycophancy. I can't pronounce words. Sycophancy. Within the first few months of his reign, a portion of the very slums you live in held protest groups against his new rulership. Within hours of the first public protest, half the district was in flames, and only rumors of shadowed, cowled figures could be attributed as to why. To conclude, clearly the Kronger is a lovely man, and nothing bad should ever be said about him. What could even be said? You couldn't think of anything, and even if you really stretched your brain to make some confounding mental gymnastics to make obviously exaggerated points, well, you would never utter them aloud. It may have been a hard lesson for people back then, but you were born and grew up under the dictatorship of Moloch Kronger. He ruled for almost a century now, and like most Alfart, has few more left in his natural lifespan. It would be more than enough time for people to acclimate to his method of ruling. Honestly, it wasn't that different from the Kronger before, from what you understand. Moloch Kronger had claimed his laws must be obeyed because of divine monarchy, and the accidents that happened were little more than divine retribution. One of Moloch Kronger's many, many wonderful traits that citizens wax lyrical about, although you can't really think of any others at the moment, is that he's a lot more honest. His laws must be followed because he demands that you do, and there's no such thing as an accident if you don't, only the results of his own retribution. Truly, the world has never seen such honesty in politics. Are you picking up what I'm putting down, Sprout? I can't go into more details than that until I know you're committed to my once-in-a-lifetime offer. Well, doo-doo. You indeed pick up what he was putting down, and the magnitude of it is immense. Could you really swear loyalty to one man and carry out his wishes no matter your own personal feelings? You'd throw away your values and possibly work against them. Ideals are nice, they're warm fuzzy things, but they don't put food in your stomach or shelter over your head. They don't provide comfort or luxury, something you've been striving towards for many years. On the other hand, the Kronger has ordered the Blackthorns to do terrible things. Some things you've never attempted. The burning of entire sections of the city comes from mind, although these instances are supposedly few and far between. They have happened all around the whole country. Rule has made horror stories of the Thorns. Yet how could a man maintain such fanaticism? The answer is simple. He makes it worth it. Can you accept his blood money, or would you rather continue to work hard on your own merits? I need to think about it. He nods in an understanding manner, and you take a moment to look at his scars, weathered face, and general weariness he excludes. Would it be worth it? He said it was a worst-case scenario. In fact, he even admitted that he could be honest about the risks due to his inner juries. He wants you to know what happened to him could happen to you, even if it's only a slim chance. Sure, I'll give you a bit of time about your answers, to think about your answers. You're going to begin a whole new life after all. I can't spare you any considerable length of time, though. Things to do and all that. Maybe you should ask him questions? Sound reasonable? Maybe you should ask him about his scars? Nah. Come to think of it, I think the less I know, the safer I am. Come to think of it, you don't exactly what you'd expect to do. Obviously, he can tell you right now, but you can get a hint, right? Spirits, should you ask? What's better, knowing what to expect or ignorance? Somehow you don't think you'd get away with a meek sorry I didn't know what to expect if you didn't live up to the expectations. And about you, maybe it would be better to ask what he's done. True to his word, the two of you sit in silence for several minutes, only acknowledge each other. When you indicate you want his attention, sometimes it's to answer a question and other false alarms. Thinking you'd make a pure choice when you hadn't. Finally, indicating your time's up, he clears his throat with a gentle cough. let's find out what he's done. Hey Gog, what's the worst thing you've ever done as a thorn? His pleasant expression drops into a cold, dead-eyed stare that fixes into the depth of his glass as he lets loose a shuddering exhale from his nose. With a faraway gaze, his hand comes up idly, scratching the puckered skin around his facial scar. A moment passes, then a second. You don't think he answers until... Worse is subjective. It varies from person to person. I've done things others would consider awful, and I don't care much about it. Years ago, I was part of a stem that burned down parts of the country for opposing the Kroger. I barricaded families into their homes and torched them. I've sent body parts to send messages, even hiding it in the receptionist's food for maximum impact. Fouled wells with poison or decomposed bodies, mass murders. Put simply, I can truly say this doesn't bother me. As expected so far in his terms of action, his thoughts though, not so. Not that you knew what to expect, but that wasn't it. You can't even comprehend what his worst must be if these examples mean nothing to him. It's grisly work, but it's effective in the long run. No one goes against the Kroger, and these missions become few and far between. They're a necessary evil, and I'm okay with it. With that, honestly, every Kroger does this doo-doo. It's just that Moloch is honest about it. Really, you should hear the sides of the stories of Mallet Kroger. But my worst task was leaving that witch who did this to me alive. She died years later from an effing cold or something. It gnaws at me every morning that I wasn't able to do her in. It's not what you expected. So you're meant to put personal feelings aside for the missions. Do that's actually pretty difficult at times. Deep breath. You can do it. But you've already been doing it. Admittedly, at a smaller scale, but you've done it. You can do this. You have, and you will. You have to work to get what you want, or you take the easy path and let other people make hard choices for you to thrive. You need to accept your role, or not, if you think it's too much to ask of you. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it at this for now, but I do want to come back to this story because this is all very interesting, and I have to give myself time to think. Do I want to actually follow this doo-doo head and get out of my impoverished shack, or do I want to try to keep going the way of the shack? Conundrums. Hope you enjoyed reading along. The Blackthorns. I'll leave a link in the description below, and yeah, hope whatever you're doing, you're enjoying the process as always, and take care. Bye bye now.